In this video, I want to give you a quick overview of Flutterflow so that you can build something like this. And this is actually a real app called DreamBrush that you can download from the App Store and Play Store. It's an image generation app that one of our designers built in 2 days. And we're going to come back to this, but let's first start with a blank canvas. Now, I know there's a lot of buttons, but they're actually organized into 5 main sections. Let me show you. First is the widget palette over here. And these are just the things you build your app out of. You just grab what you want and drag it into the canvas, which is our second main section. Here, you can select widgets, you can drag and move them around, and delete them. And you'll notice that as you click on different widgets, this panel over here will change, which is our third panel, our properties panel. This is where you'll configure the widgets in your app. And keep in mind that it'll change depending on which widget you have selected, because every widget has different features, different properties you can change. So we've added widgets to our page, move them around, change some properties. But what about if you want to see all the widgets on your page? Well, then you come over here to our third main section, our navigation menu, and select the widget tree. These 2 sections, your widget palette and your widget tree, will be where you spend 90% of your time. And in this widget tree section, there are 2 parts. You've got the pages up here, and if you want to create a new page, you can come over to this green button here, where you can create a blank new page, use one from our pre-made templates, or create one with AI, and we'll do that in a minute. And underneath, you'll find the widget tree. This is the structure of all your widgets on the page you're currently on. And you can do everything you do on the canvas. So you can select widgets, you can drag them and move them around, and of course, delete widgets. Oh, and that reminds me, you can always undo with Control or Command Z and redo with Shift Command Z. And you can see a full list of shortcuts up here. Okay, so that's the widget palette and the widget tree and the navigation menu. All the rest of these things are other tools and services you'll use as you build your app. Okay, so we're building our app and we're ready to see how it's looking. And to do that, we want to run a test mode. And we start that by clicking on this lightning bolt icon in the upper right. This will take a minute or 2 to start up, but once it's up, you can make edits to your app and instantly refresh and you'll see the results. But wait, why do we need to do this? I can see my app when I'm building it, right? Absolutely, yes. But there are 3 things, well, 2.5, that you need a test mode for. First, network calls. So if you want to see data from your backend database or API calls, you're going to need a test mode. Second, logic, or what we call actions. This would include things like navigation between pages, showing pop-ups or alert dialog boxes, or submitting forms. And third, and this is the half one, animations. Some animations you can see in the builder and some you need a test mode for. Once your test mode is on, your app will work just like a normal app. And if you make any changes, you can just come back here and reload. So I'm going to select this home page widget right here, and I'm going to just change the background color to be a little bit darker right here. We're going to use that color. Now we're going to jump back over to our test mode and instantly reload. Beautiful. Okay, so we've got the basics, but let's make this page a little bit more attractive and a little more functional. And we're going to do that not by creating our own pages, but by using pre-built ones. So what do we want to make? Well, let's make a profile page first. So we're going to come into our Create New Page menu and search for Profile. Let's just scroll down and see how these look. Those all look pretty cool. Let's grab this one right here. Accept that name. And this is just a normal page now, so you can make some edits. This button's a little bit small right here, so let's just give it a little more width. Maybe 150 and 50 up here. Okay, that looks good. And let's make one more page right here. So maybe some sort of notifications page. Let's see if there's one for that. So we search for notifications, and I like this one. And we'll just finish notifications and create that page. Great. So this is looking better, but we want to add some more functionality to this. So let's add some navigation between our pages. So when the user clicks on this notification, it'll bring them to this second page. So how would we add navigation? Well, because this has to do with the configuration of this widget right here, it's going to be in our properties panel. But it doesn't have to do with visual configuration. That's what most of the stuff here is. It has to do with an action that we want to happen. And everything having to do with actions will be in this second tab right here. This is where you'll find the action flow editor. Now, what's happening here is this is where you will define all the actions you want to happen in response to some trigger, and you can see those here. And those triggers will be different depending on what widget you have selected. So this could be when the page loads or when the user taps something. And that's what we want here. And there will be 3 steps when you set up actions. First, you select the trigger. Most of the time, the default will be correct. Second, you want to add whatever action you want to occur. And you can see here, we've got tons of actions. And these cover most of the actions that you're going to need when building your app. Of course, if you need something custom, we have custom actions that you can hand code down here. But what we want is a navigate action, and you can just search for this. So go navigate, and then we see all of these pages that are available for us to navigate to. Well, we want to go to this notifications page. All right, second step done. Third step is to configure your action. In most actions, there'll be options for configuring it, to make changes to it. Here, we're gonna keep all the defaults, that's fine. So we can just close this out and let's go test it. We've already got our test mode going, so we can just refresh it to see. And wait, this isn't the right page. Yeah, that's true. We have to set which page is our initially loading page. So you wanna come over here in your navigation menu to our settings, and we're in this app details section, and we have this initial page. So we can just change that to our profile page. Okay, let's test it again and reload. Great, so we're on our page, and when we click notifications, it brings us to the second page. Beautiful. Lastly, most apps you'll build, you'll use a backend database. So let me show you how easy it is to set one up in Flutterflow and display that data. So we're back in our Dreambrush app, and what I want is some hero images up here that'll really grab the user's attention when they come to it. And I want these images pulling from my database because I want them to be from users. But right now, I don't have any database set up, so let's set one up. Now, Flutterflow supports natively Firebase and Supabase, and we're adding new ones every year. And you could use any database you want through our API manager. But for this, let's use Firebase. If you already have a Firebase project, you can put in your Firebase project ID here. I don't have one set up, so let's just create one from scratch. Select a name, that sounds good, and a location, that's great. And let's sign in with Google. Select the Google account that you want this Firebase project to be registered under, and that's it. Flutterflow will create a Firebase project for you. Beautiful, it's ready. Now, if you're gonna use authentication or storage, there's a few other configurations. Now, we're not gonna need user authentication for now, but we do need this to upload our data in Flutterflow's content manager. So let me just do this real quick. Just click Get Started, and email and password, enable it, and save. And that's it. Let's jump back over. So the last thing to do is just auto-generate some configuration files. These are just some settings and keys that enable your project to communicate with Firebase. All right, it's all set up. So let's make our first collection. We're gonna come over here to our Firebase tab, and let's create a collection called images. Create. Now, Firebase collections are made up of documents, and we're just gonna start from scratch, and we just need one field for now. That's gonna be the URL of our image. Then we select the data type, which will be an image path, and accept it. Beautiful. Now I've got a CSV that I want to import, so let's just go into manage content here. So let me upload a CSV and upload. Flutterflow recognizes the data type, so we can just validate and import. And it's successful. Great. Awesome. Just like that, we've got 3 documents. Okay, let's jump back into Flutterflow and connect this collection. So we want to connect it over here to this carousel. And in order to connect data, you want to go to this third option right here, where we add a backend query, and we want to get a collection. That's what we want. We've got one collection already set up. Beautiful. Now this pop-up is just going to tell us that we're going to create multiple children based on each document in the collection. And that's exactly what we want to do because we want to show one image for each one of those items. Okay, so we've connected it. Now we need to bind that field to each image. So let's add in an image here. And we can scroll down in our properties panel to the path. This is where the image is coming from. And we don't want to change this because we want this to be a dynamic value. We want to connect this to something else. That is a field in our documents. So we click in here and we've got tons of options. And we can see the second one here, our images document. And when we hover on it, you can see that it's highlighting where it's coming from. So let's twirl this open and we want to connect it to that URL field. That's it. Now, because this is a network request, we have to run a test mode. So let's do it. Beautiful. And just like that, you've connected your app to your backend database. If you want to learn more about Flutterflow, there are 3 places to do that. First, we have Flutterflow University. This is a series of videos that can bring you from a beginner to an intermediate Flutterflow developer. Second, our in-app tutorials, which you can get to by going over to here and tutorials. And finally, our documentation. We can't wait to see what you'll build in Flutterflow.